So if you want to start investing into real estate and you don't know anything about real estate, then obviously you're going to have to learn about real estate from someone. Now, there are ways to learn that are free, and some ways that are actually paid, and in some ways are actually affordable, and then some ways are just out of reach. And if you do reach them, then you could get yourself in trouble. Now, I don't know what it is, but when you ever want to start something, you always look at the best person doing it, and it's usually some guy trying to market you something and trying to coach you on something. I've never personally bought something that costs like $400 or $500 for a course or a coaching program or a seminar. And usually these things could be good investments, but most of the times they just cost way too much and you don't need to actually get them. So for this video right here, I'm not telling you about any coach. I'm not telling you to go to this seminar. I'm not telling you to go to this weekend boot camp, although that could be beneficial. I just don't see the point in paying somebody $10,000 or $20,000 when you could get it for free or just by paying $15 to $20 with another resource, which I will tell you about later in this video. But this goal is just to give you places to look to grow in your real estate knowledge. So this way, when you actually start buying property, you know exactly what you're looking at, okay? You don't have to be a genius. You don't know what you don't know. And you're not stupid because you don't know something if you never learned it before, all right? So it's not a big deal. And you don't need to be taught by the biggest guy in the game and cost you a bunch of money. I heard of stories where people basically say, hey, I needed to take this, so I grabbed my credit card. I spent $1,000, all I had, and I'm basically in debt. I'm like, that sounds like a great story, but it sounds pretty stupid to me. You don't need to do that whatsoever. So as you watch this video, I hope you learned something. I'll give you resources so you actually know exactly what you're looking for. As always, like this video if you're new here, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified. Now, number one is YouTube. If you want to be on YouTube, there are a lot of videos to waste your time. I love watching anime reviews, but for the most part, there are a lot of resources here on YouTube when it comes to learning about real estate. One channel I used to watch a lot was basically Meet Kevin, and I also used to watch a lot of Graham Stephan, but then their content kind of changed. But in the very beginning, they used to be all about real estate, how to get into real estate, how to buy property, and they would show you a bunch of different things, which is pretty awesome, okay? But there is a channel right now that is dedicated to real estate, and that's basically Bigger Pockets, okay? So Bigger Pockets is a channel on YouTube, and they're just dedicated to real estate. They do everything in real estate. And on top of that, I also recommend this channel because for next year, I'm going to just be basically making videos about real estate and teaching you exactly how to buy property, because next year I'm going to buy my very first property, and this year I actually sold my first property, but that was basically a personal property, all right? And now I'm actually gonna be buying rental property to actually make me money, not property just to live in, all right? So that's what I recommend. Use YouTube. Bigger Pockets is a great show on real estate, okay? I love Dave Ramsey, right? He has a lot of tactics, but I haven't seen like a Dave Ramsey real estate book. So that's something I would actually like to watch, but he doesn't have it yet, or actually like to read, but he doesn't have it yet. So now, number two resource is obviously going to be books. Kind of just hinted it there, okay? So books changed my life forever, because you're able to spend $10 to $15 and spend a few hours in the mind of an expert. And to me, it's one of the best resources. Now, one of the first books I read on real estate was basically Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And this guy changed my mind in a lot of ways. But if I had taken his ideas and grabbed it and basically I'd done them, I probably would have been very miserable, because his whole thing is take on a lot of debt. As long as you're cash flowing, you'll be just fine. And that is just building a house of cards. And I don't want to do that, okay? But for the most part, there is a great book that I'm reading right now, and I read it before, but I'm reading it again, and it's the book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner. I'm also reading Building Wealth One House at a Time, and on top of that, link down below is a link by Bigger Pockets, and they actually have a 20-book list about real estate. So if you want ideas on real estate, there are a lot of ideas down there. Read some of those books and get some knowledge. By the way, when I was reading the book of rental property, the author said that he read over 100 books in 100 days or something like that. He averaged about a book a day. And I'm like, that's impressive. But even he agreed that you're better off just reading a few books read them over and over again, and putting them into action. More information is cool, but if you don't take any action, it doesn't matter. So as you read these books and you live in the minds of these authors, yes, take it and learn it. It's great stuff, but remember, they should move you towards action. And by the way, one tip here is when you take on action, as you're learning, you shouldn't take action that can basically reset the whole game for you. Meaning, don't take on crazy risks when you're just getting started. Start small and build up. That's the idea. Number 3 is going to be podcasts. Now, for the first time, like I think ever, I was basically listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Bigger Pockets, but I am reading his book, and a lot of these ideas are from his book, and that's why I'm telling you about this stuff, okay? Because he has like a lot of real estate. He does. Is it he or yeah? Well, the author of this book, Rental Property, right, has a bunch of real estate. Is what he does. He has a business on real estate, podcast on real estate. So that's why I'm giving you his resources first, okay? Because I'm just getting started at the end of the day. So that's the idea. So I've been listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast, but it's also another one called the Real Estate Guy Show, which I have not listened to yet. But for the most part, I'm not that much of a big fan of podcasts, okay? I just can't, because sometimes like the podcasts are supposed to be like in video format, but they just basically give you the audio, and then you kind of feel left out when they actually start using like math equations, say look at this, look at that, but you can't see it. So for the most part, I tend to just do audiobooks. So I know the book I want to read, and then I basically find the audiobook and I listen to it that way while I'm at the gym, while I'm at commuting, or whatever it is, okay? But be careful, because audiobooks are a great way to an addition to knowledge, but I wouldn't say like you should do audiobooks to try to learn, because there's a lot of things you miss, because you can be like listening to something but your mind can be somewhere completely different. So I do listen to audiobooks as entertainment, but when it comes down to learning and knowledge, I like to have physical books and kind of just like read them and take notes and just be focused and locked down on that book, okay? Now, number 4, guys, is going to be blogs. Bigger Pockets has a blog. There are blogs out there on real estate. And again, the most important point that you want to get to when you're a student is the point when you're able to differentiate between good information and bad information. That only happens after you know enough. So to know enough, you just got to kind of keep reading and learning. So that's why I say, as you're learning in the learning phase, action is important, but you should not be taking action when you're just learning, because you don't know what you're doing, okay? So take your time with it. Get the knowledge. Be able to know what's good information and bad information, because anyone can start a blog, anyone can make a video on YouTube, anyone can make a podcast. So you want to make, and by the way, just because someone tells you I have 100 houses, I have 20 houses, I have 20 doors, and they're counting like the bathroom door, the garage door, so you gotta be very careful with who you listen to online and just be able to differentiate from good and the bad, all right? That's the idea. Now, number 5 is going to be forums, okay? Forums is just a way to have conversations online. So Reddit, I'm a part of a lot of forums on Reddit, but they're mostly personal finance forums. But Bigger Pockets also has a forum, and you can also find real estate forums also on Reddit, which is actually a pretty great resource as a whole. Reddit isn't just like for like stupid stuff, but it's also for a lot of good stuff too, okay? So Reddit is pretty awesome. And lastly, guys, you could buy courses. There are great courses out there. I took a course by Meet Kevin. It kind of helps you put everything in perspective. But for the most part, you don't need to do a course, because most of the things in a course, you can find it in a book. But courses are like a little bit better, because you can see a person that's actually telling you something. They're showing you things right there. So if you buy the right course, you could get a good deal. But if you don't have the money, just go ahead and pay $10-15 for a book, or go to your local library and just basically get the book for free, all right? So that's what I recommend. So overall, I don't recommend you do, for example, one-on-one coaching and pay $1,000, $10,000 to talk to someone to give you a strategy. You can basically read it like in a book, okay? It's not important. It's like when someone tells me, Tommy, I need to talk to you, okay, about investing and what to put my money into. I'm like, I made a video about this. Just look at the video. That's exactly what I think. And, you could talk to me and pay me a bunch of money, but why would he do that, okay? It doesn't make any sense when you can actually have the information right there. So, yeah, even I say, coaching, cool stuff, but for the most part, you don't need to spend that much money on it unless you just have extra money that you want to basically deduct as a business expense, and that's different, okay? But for the most part, I don't think it's that important at all, okay? Thanks for watching, guys. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. I hope you get these resources. I hope you learn. If you have resources yourself, then share them below. That way people can actually see them, go to them, and learn from them also, okay? Thanks, Like, subscribe, said that already. Up here's another video. Over here's my face. And as always, Long-Term Team officially out. Long-Term Team.